nervous around Chip. Chip's bitten me a lot. Probably like 50 times he's bitten me.
It's going to break.
So here's the thing. When owners worry about their dogs not loving them when they set rules or boundaries or limitations, they're setting their dogs up to fail. Dogs crave leadership. They crave knowing where they stand in a pack. Let's face it, 99% of dogs out there, they don't want to be leaders. They really don't. They're very content being followers. Almost every case I see where dogs are aggressive or anxious or fearful, it almost always is a case of the dog can't trust their humans to be the leader. So they end up taking that position even though they're not equipped. They don't have the tools or the knowledge or the skills to be a leader. But they don't feel like they can trust their humans to be the leader, so they take on that role themselves. And that's what this whole episode is about, is a dog that is so insecure with its family that it feels it has no choice but to just white knuckle it, to try to be the leader, even though he doesn't have the skills or the knowledge to be able to fulfill that role. So as usual, as I do with all of my videos, I'll be stopping and explaining what I'm seeing as we go through. I won't be playing this full episode from start to finish. That's not what Dogs Decoded is about. However, if you want to see the full episode, I will provide a link to the full episode in the description. So let's get into it.
I couldn't believe it that Chip would actually attack a family member, but he did.
Here's the thing. He's not necessarily, in his mind, he's not attacking a family member. That's not what this is. I know as humans, we tend to take it personal and we try to label everything. He's reacting to something he doesn't agree with. So, and this is the ironic thing, is that we're going to learn as we watch further on in the video, that the wife doesn't want him to not love her. So she's afraid to actually discipline him. But she doesn't see that this dog doesn't, when he's lashing out and he's biting, family members and, people coming into the home, the dog's not sitting there thinking, oh, if I bite this person, the human's not going to love me, right? But for some reason in our minds, we twist that around and we say, if we discipline our dog, if we bite our dog, the dog's not going to love us. But that's not how it is, because dogs don't think like that. Dogs react to the environment and to the events as they happen. More importantly, they react to energy. So by the owner ignoring every time the dog lashes out, they're actually reinforcing that behavior. They're encouraging that behavior instead of disagreeing with the behavior, which is just going to cause the dog to continue along that same road. It's never been taught any other way.
So he also attacked family members?
He does attack family members. The kids mostly. He won't attack us.
See, here he's growling away at, I think this is one of the kids here. And because nobody's disagreeing with him, the kid's just kind of sitting there watching it all unfold. No other family member is stepping in. He's not stepping in. So the dog doesn't know that what he's doing is wrong. He thinks this is exactly how he's supposed to be behaving.
So what happened to him when he makes a mistake like that? What's the consequence?
If he does something bad, I'm like, okay, Mom, you need to punish him.
That's right.
This is a case of a family that thinks that there can only be one pack leader, and that one pack leader isn't actually being a pack leader. In a family, we're all pack leaders. We all need to take a role, an active role in guiding our dogs. Instead of waiting for the mom to step in and make a correction, any one of these pack members could go in and make that correction. And the neat thing is, we're going to see later on in the video where one of Cesar's pack members, one of his other dogs, corrects the dog as in an unbalanced state. It's really neat because we don't get to see that very often. I mention it a lot. I talk about how dogs, correct each other and don't like being, around an unbalanced dog, but we don't get to see it very much in the videos, and we actually get to see it in this one. So I'm going to stop rambling. We're going to keep going, but I just wanted to bring that up, that this is an opportunity for every single member of this family can get in here and correct the dog. You don't need to wait for one member, even if one member is the closest or has the biggest bond.
Consequence.
No, he's my sweetheart. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to yell at him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
See, we assume that disagreeing with a behavior is going to hurt them. It doesn't hurt them. It actually makes them, it's like drawing a line on the sand. Once that line has been drawn in the sand, the dog can go, oh, okay, I can relax now. As long as I stay behind that line, I'm okay, right? We just need to let our dogs know what we agree with and what we don't agree with. And all of a sudden the dog goes, okay, I can breathe. Now I know what's expected of me.
As normal as you normally are with him and all that stuff.
First, Cesar
I just want to point out, so the moment she opens that door, he's already jumping on her. There's no personal space. There's no bubble. I like to recommend with my clients that they imagine that they have a hula hoop around them. Anything inside that hula hoop is their personal space. That's their bubble. A dog is allowed to come into that personal space only when they're invited. That right there sets the tone for the relationship. I can love you a foot away. I don't need to love you half an inch or right on me. You can be, outside the bubble and we can still have a perfectly loving relationship. So this dog, he's trying to control her already. He's jumping up on her. He's disrespecting her. He's clawing and nipping and doing everything he can to try to control the owner right now, because there's no respect there yet. There's no personal respect between the dog and the human.
wants to see how Chip typically acts at home.
Chip is living in a very small...
I do like that Chip is using his nose. A lot of times when we see these dogs, they're all about the eyes. They're watching everything. They're scanning. This dog is actually using his nose, which is great, because when dogs are using the nose, they're using the thinking side of their brain. They're actually processing the environment instead of just reacting by looking. They're actually taking in what they're smelling and actually processing it. Before I go any further, I am going to stop the video here. I'm going to put in my Dogs Decoded scale, the 0 to 5. This is a scale that I use every time I meet a dog, and I'm going to do that right now so that I can reference it and you guys will know what I'm talking about. Obviously, if you've already watched my episodes, you already have seen the scale. You're more than welcome to fast forward, but if this is your first time, I do strongly suggest watching it. So I will be back in a moment, and then we're going to get back into it. Okay, so I just want to explain my scale. This is a scale that I use when I'm assessing dogs when I go to a client's place. So 0, level 0, they're sleeping, they're out cold, not a problem. Level 1, they're resting, they're awake, they're kind of watching what's going on. Maybe they're doing a gentle pant. Nothing, no, they're not participating. They're not following us around. They're not doing any of that. They're just laying there watching. Level 2. Now they're walking around, they're sniffing, they're panting, they're playing with toys respectfully. They're still not getting in our way. They're not bugging anyone. They're with us, being part of the family. Level 3, now they're starting to get excited. Okay, so now we're getting more of a fast tail wag, bodies wagging. Maybe they're whining. They're attention seeking. They're taking, if you've got a dog that likes toys, he's bringing those toys. He's squeaking them really loud, or he's bringing them to you and demanding your attention, and he's unable to settle at this point. So you give him a command to go lay down or go settle down, and he just can't. Level 4, now we get into more severe problems. Right now they're jumping, maybe they're pulling on the leash, they're digging, they're chewing on objects that are on the floor, the furniture, they're starting to bark. And keep in mind that they can still do all of these other things in these other levels, right? Like you might still get whining and attention seeking, but this just means that there's more stuff going on. So they're escalating up to almost an unmanageable point now. Level 5 is where we start really seeing major problems, which is, they're destroying your furniture, your house. There's heavy panting sometimes, there's excessive barking. When you walk, they're scanning for threats. It's growling, snarling, fighting, and possibly fighting with a sibling, another dog in the house, or just overall being a little mischief maker. So that's a very simplified way to look at when I say a dog's at a 2 or a dog's at a 4. This is what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so our goal as the owners or as handlers, we want to keep our dogs between a 0 and a 2. That's the perfect zone, right? If we're out walking, we're taking them for a walk, maybe we're throwing the ball for them, they can start to get into, a 3 a little bit, but we really do want to keep, every time we start seeing our dogs start to get a little bit more excited, we want to ask ourselves, okay, what level are they at? We want to try to keep them at that level. So as soon as we start seeing them rise up, we say, knock it off and settle them back down. It's a lot easier to keep our dogs at a level 2 and correct them just as they get to a level 3 than it is to wait for our dogs to get to a level 5 and then try to get them to a level 1. It just doesn't happen. They're just too far gone at that point. All right, perfect. Okay. So now that you've watched the scale, what do you think this dog's at right now? I mean, he's unable to settle. He's jumping. He's, on guard. You can't get much higher level than this, right? As far as excitement goes, he is just right at a level 5. That's where he's at. As I said in that little clip there, our goal as owners is to keep our dogs at a level 2 or below. The sweet spot is a 2.25. That's where we want them. We want them up. We want them to be present. We want them to, be a part of our family and be with us. But they don't need to be right on our chest or jumping up on our legs or scratching us. They don't need to be that close, right? So, and it's a lot easier, as I said in the video, it's a lot easier to calm our dog when it's at a 2, just getting up, starting to increase up to a level 3. It's a lot easier to correct them from a 3 to a 2 than it is from a 5 to a 2.
So the only person that he doesn't attack is Lisa. But Lisa has created a monster out of Chip.
Okay. In other words,
it's not necessarily that she's created a monster out of Chip, but because, she's probably the one who feeds him, she coddles him, she loves on him, he thinks that this is basically his mate. So he's perfectly fine, cohabitating because she never asks anything of him. She never makes any kind of a demand. And because she's the one who feeds him, he just doesn't have any reason to lash out at her.
Now, notice what I'm doing right now to block him so he can get me.
You notice how as soon as Cesar, first of all, I want you to pay attention to Cesar's body language. Hands on the hip, shoulders squared up to the dog. He's walking right into the dog. He's claiming that space. That's what I said about the hula hoop. He's claiming his space. And what he's doing is he's walking towards the dog because that's going to cause the dog to back up. And we want the dog to back up and give us space. You never want to back up when the dog's approaching you, because that in the dog's mind is the dog is making you back up. He's making you give him space. The goal is no. And this isn't a dominance thing. This isn't us being, I'm going to be the dog, the alpha dog here. That's not what this is. This is about personal respect, personal space. Think about this in your own relationships. If somebody came up to you and got right in your face and you backed up, what that would do was tell the other person that, even subconsciously, that they can push you around. But if you squared up to them and said, hey, can you just back up a little bit? Just give me a little bit of space here. Right away, that tells the other person, okay, this person isn't afraid to set boundaries or to set the tone of the relationship. And that's what we want here. We just want this dog to understand that, listen, you do not need to be in my personal space. In fact, I want you to give me space.
Space. This is a challenge, okay? Don't worry about this part.
You notice the dog walks away. So he does it. He does a little challenge, rough, right? He protests a little bit, but then he instantly walks away, because that's what dogs do. When dogs say, I don't want to engage, I don't want to fight, they walk away or they turn their head. That's what this dog's doing right here. This is what we want. Cesar's following through instead of just giving up right away. Even though the dog at first went to walk away, that was more, it was almost there, but it was more avoidance. Some dogs, actually most dogs, what they'll do is if they don't want the confrontation, but they don't want to give up, they'll try to avoid. So when he first walked away, he was like, yeah, okay, I don't like you very much. I don't respect you, but I'm not going to fight. And he went to walk away, and Cesar went, no. You don't have to like me, but you do have to respect me. And I'm going to follow through until you actually submit to this exercise. So he's continuing to apply pressure and making the dog continue to walk away until the dog finally submits. And we'll know when he submits because he'll actually sit down, he'll yawn, he'll do some lip licking. His whole body will soften, and that's his cue that, okay, I get it. So that's what Cesar's waiting for here.
Just from the fact that he's moving away, I'm not hurting him, as you see.
Unfortunately, he didn't. He did the best he could with the time that he had, right? But what he was waiting for was for the dog to just totally give up and disengage. And you notice as soon as he turned, I mean, he kind of ran out of room there, right? The next thing you know, they're going to be going down the stairs. So at that point, he chose to end the battle at that point. But notice as soon as he walked away, because the dog hadn't fully submitted yet, the dog comes in behind him and starts ruff, ruff, ruff. Because, and again, this is just a circumstances thing. He can only do so much, right? So he has to pick his battles, and he took it as a win, which he should, because the dog did walk away. If they were out in the yard somewhere where they had more space to work, he could have continued that a little bit longer and actually waited for those other signs, the lip licking, the relaxing, sitting down, all of those things. But he just ran out of room. So he did the right thing. That's exactly what I would have done in this situation. The win was that the dog backed up, that Cesar didn't give in to the dog, that the dog gave in to him. The dog gave him space.
Challenging him in his own territory.
Right, right.
That's a very unsure bark. That like that. That's the whole world is being rocked, and he's protesting. So he's not even any more challenging Cesar yet, or at this point, he's just protesting. And so and you can tell because it's a very high pitch, frantic, I don't know what to do. Think of it like a little pressure cooker right now. He has all this pressure built up, and he's just trying to release a little bit at a time by doing that. Woo, woo, woo. He's releasing a little bit of pressure. So you notice as Cesar puts his hand in front of the dog's nose like that, he explains it too, but he's telling the dog, I'm not scared of you, right? Bark at me as much as you want. I'm not scared of you. And you notice how the dog immediately turns his head, right? He's moving away from the hand because he's telling Cesar, okay, fine. Let's what's it called when I'm drawing a blank here. I tell you, being over 50, you get brain fog. It sucks. Stalemate with both people or both parties, we're just going to agree to disagree. That's kind of what's happening in this situation here. The dog's saying, I don't like you very much, but I'm not going to fight it. So I'm going to turn my head. And Cesar's saying, you don't have to like me, but I'm not going to back down yet because I don't want you to think that you can just push me around. So he's keeping his hand there.
And then he shows the teeth because this is how he normally make people back away. Okay. I'm actually, every time he shows...
Every time I see this dog and his teeth, I don't know why, it just cracks me right up. He's definitely gone his whole life thinking that he's the boss, and you can tell he's one of those dogs that's learned that he can use his mouth, whether it's through a growl or through a snarl or an actual bite, to control people. And so he's almost like, this is just his default look now. He just walks around with this kind of grimace on his face. You can't help but love him.
Teeth and move forward.
Coming forward, right?
So we're taking domination away.
Like, look at that face. Look at that. Sorry. Oh my God. I love dogs so much. But like, look at this face. How can you not love that?
Next, Cesar wants to determine whether Chip can behave when walking next to Sonny, one of the calm, submissive dogs from Cesar's pack.
Notice how even here, I love that Cesar's he always uses slip leashes, and he's got the leashes in the perfect position, right up here at the what I call the communication zone. Notice how this whole time that he's walking, this dog is just zeroed right in on the golden. Like he should be just kind of like, cool, dude, we're going for a walk. But instead, he's going through the motions of the walk, but he's locked right on to this golden the entire time.
You have to learn to walk with dogs next to each other in order for him to become pack oriented.
See, look at this. Like he's locked right on. Even though Cesar's given a couple of corrections that, hey, knock it off, he's blown the corrections off, and he's just continued to stare this golden down. And this poor golden's just like, I'm just here for the walk, man. Like, I don't want to fight, right? This guy's given every cue that, hey, I don't mean you any harm. I don't want to fight. And this little guy's just like, yeah, bring it on. Come on, let's go.
I wouldn't believe that Chip could have done this in a million years.
Relax. Sir, that's all right.
Without warning, Chip bites.
There was warning, though, right? Yeah, it seemed dramatic, but this is a great example of how dogs, they give us lots of warning. It's us humans that we tend to miss them. In the moment, it's hard because, of course, we're looking at everything. In this case, look at this case. Caesar's talking. He's trying to teach these owners. So, of course, his attention's already divided. He's got a golden in one hand. He's got the miniature Pinscher in the other. He's dealing with the camera crew. He's got all these things. It's very easy to miss all these signs. But this little guy, all the way on the walk, had already locked on. He had already committed and told us very clearly he was going to attack this golden. This is the thing. If you notice, this dog has never, even walking with Cesar, he never goes lower than a 5, right? Even at something as what should be fun and relaxing as a walk, he's doing it with this intention. His shoulders are up. He's scanning around. He's constantly zeroed in on the golden. The only thing on this dog's mind is attack, attack, attack. So he never actually gets down to that level 2 on my scale. He just stays there at that 5. In most cases, well, in every case, you always want to go through the gate first, and you always want to make sure that there's no tension on the leash. The exception to that is in a case like this, where you've got a dog that is already at a level 5, he's already scanning for threats, he's already primed for a fight. In those cases, sometimes if you hesitate even for just a couple seconds at the gate, you can actually make it worse, because all these other dogs are going to react to that energy. So why Cesar is keeping tension on the leash when he walks through right now is because he's signaling to the dog that he's walking that, hey, pay attention to me. You're with me right now. And he's telling all of these other dogs, ignore him. I've got him. He's with me. He's a part of me right now. What he doesn't want is for the level 5 energy to create a ripple effect and have all of these dogs come running at him and attack, because they will. They'll attack that energy, not because they have anything against the dog. They don't know the dog. All they're doing is reacting to the energy. So that's why Caesar's kind of rushing him through right now, is he doesn't want any kind of hesitation between the dog he's walking in and all of these other dogs that are in the facility.
Move.
See, and this is him basically just lashing out. Ironically, he's lashing out at all these other dogs for invading his personal space. But he has shown us over and over again that he has no concept of personal space when it's a human. Right? He jumps up on the humans. He gets right into their personal space. But look at the difference now, right? All these other dogs are getting into his bubble and he's lashing out. He doesn't like that. I also want you to notice how Cesar is positioning himself over the dog he's trying to help. And the reason he's doing that right now is very important. He doesn't bring it up, but it's crucial. Because this dog is in an unbalanced state, because he is so wired right now, as I just mentioned a minute ago, that can create a ripple effect. It can cause all of those other dogs not only to attack him, but to attack each other, to redirect. So by him positioning himself like that and being almost over this dog, he's claiming this dog. He's saying, listen, guys, I know he's not balanced yet. I'm dealing with it. I'm the pack leader. I am dealing with it. You guys can back me up, but I am the leader here. I'm in control of this dog. I own this dog. And that's crucial right now, because he has to protect this dog. He has to try his best to own that dog so that none of the other dogs in the facility will react to that energy right now. Sorry, I should also point out there is a difference. Because if the dog ran in between Cesar's legs and tried to hide, you would notice Cesar would actually push the dog out. He wouldn't allow the dog to hide behind Cesar. It can be a little confusing if you're watching this. I just want to point that out, that if the dog hid behind Cesar, Cesar would push him out. He would still be over him. He would still be claiming him. He wouldn't allow the little dog to hide behind him or crawl in between his legs, though. I hope that makes sense.
Social skills. Hey.
Submissive, yeah.
So I want to point out, so what he's doing is the alpha roll. I am going to stop here and I'm going to play my clip about the alpha roll and how dogs use the alpha roll. on other dogs. And then when we come back, I'm going to explain the difference between what we just watched and what we're going to see here, because this is very rare what we're about to see, but it's so important to differentiate between the two. So I'm just going to let that other clip play, and then we're going to come back and talk about this. Notice he knocks the dog down and instantly backs off. Now the dog's going to pop back up again. He's going to jump back in and make the dog lay back down. Again, knocks the dog down, does the alpha roll, and backs off right away. He's not keeping pressure on the dog. Dog lays down, he instantly moves on. You see how he did the roll? He made this wolf here roll over on its side and then instantly release the pressure. He didn't hold him down. He didn't keep him pinned down there. Rolled him over. He used his energy, his body's energy, to push the dog over. The dog instinctively retracted, laid down, rolled over in the submissive roll. And as soon as he did that, that was a signal to this guy that, okay, he's no more threat. I'm the dominant one. And he released the pressure and went back to what he was doing. That is a true alpha roll. That is what we're trying to accomplish when we actually do this with our dogs during training. Okay, so now that you've seen dogs and wolves both doing the alpha roll, what you'll notice, and what I point out in those videos, is that usually what happens is the pack leader or the dominant dog will come in and charge, knock the other dog down, or apply pressure and get the other dog down, and the other dog instantly will roll over and show his belly and say, hey, okay, you win. Notice this dog is not doing that. Okay, he is, even though Cesar's trying to hold him down, Cesar never gets the opportunity to release pressure, because the moment he tries to release pressure, the dog instantly jumps back up and just wants to fight. This is so absolutely crucial, because in any other scenario, let's assume for a minute that the humans weren't there and this dog was unbalanced and another dog tried to correct him. If this dog didn't submit, he'd be killed. He would, hands down, he'd be killed. Every other dog in that environment would jump on him and he would be killed. So it's so important that Cesar do what he's doing here, and that he, signal to all of these other dogs, hey, I'm in control. I'm dealing with this. This, unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do. There are the occasional dog like this that you can't release pressure. The magic in an alpha roll usually happens when you can release pressure and the dog stays down. This dog never does stay down, but he can't keep the dog in this position, because the longer the dog's like this and continues to fight, the more the other dogs are going to get close and start wanting to back Cesar up, and that can cause a fight. If not with this little dog, but redirecting on each other. So he's in a real precarious situation here, because he needs to do the alpha roll, but he also has to finish it quickly before the other dogs decide to back him up and it turns ugly.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
And that's about as good as he's going to get. You can see the dog starting to relax a bit. That arm is still up. It's still very much, I call this the cobra arm, like he's still ready to strike, but that's about as good as he's going to get, because if he releases right now, the dog's just going to pop right up, and then they're going to have to do the whole thing over again. So he has to look at it and say, okay, this is one of those mountains that I just have to pick my battle on. I've got the alpha roll down. This is the ultimate consequence that he can give this dog right now. The fact that the dog's laying down, it's exposing its belly to all of these other dogs, is a huge win. So he has to take that win instead of staying for a long time and keeping the dog down and, releasing pressure and expecting the dog to stay there. He says, okay, the dog submitted. It's showing the belly. I'm going to take that as a win and let the dog pop back up again. So you see, he didn't have a choice at that point. It was just getting too out of hand. So he took the win, which was flipping the dog over in front of all of these other dogs and taking that couple seconds where he actually showed his belly and saying, okay, for right now, the dog's already at a 5. It's going to be pretty hard to get him to actually stay down for any length of time. There's the consequence. Let's move on. Notice even here, he's still trying to control Cesar. Even after all of the consequences that he's had so far, he's still jumping on Cesar. He's still trying to, which I just think it's so ironic because this dog is so protective of his personal space with all of these other dogs, but he has no concept of personal space when it's the human. You see that?
A treadmill is gonna get me to the access to remove some of that anxiety, some of that tension, some of that.
I often suggest before you do a training exercise with your dog, any kind of training, take them for a brisk walk or a jog, jump on your bicycle and take them, a few times around the block and run off that energy. Again, I use that analogy a lot. It's like a little pressure cooker. We want to take as much of the pressure off of the dog so that it's in a more calmer state when we're trying to teach it. It's pretty hard to learn anything when you're that fired up, when you've got that much anxiety, because you're just in survival mode in that. You're not, in any kind of openness to learn. You're just in defensive, reactive mode. So what Cesar's saying, whether you use a treadmill or you just, he likes to use his rollerblades, whatever you want to use, take your dog out, burn off some energy, take them out to the backyard, throw the ball for 10, 15 minutes, tire them out. When they're really panting hard and they've had a really good exercise, that's when you can start actually working on behavioral issues.
After the treadmill session, Cesar wants to see if Chip's behavior is...
You can already see, yes, he's still scanning around. He's panting heavy because he was just exercised, but he's a lot more relaxed now. He's not as forward. He's sitting, he's scanning, he's paying attention to kind of what's going on, but he's in a much more relaxed state. Even though he's still anxious, he's not in that guard, I'm going to attack state anymore. And he's not in that defensive state. He's just in a very excited, elevated state, which is much better than he was in the beginning when we first saw him come into the pack.
There we go. That's what I want. That's all I want. Right?
Do you notice how all the other dogs are giving him a nice wide berth? So they're being very respectful of his personal space. They're saying, okay, they picture this little hula hoop bubble in front of him, and they're giving him space because they sense that he's anxious. They sense that he's still not balanced. So they're giving him a nice wide berth.
For Chip, Cesar's boot camp will mean daily exercise and learning how to get along as a member of the pack.
I just want to say that notice that this is day 9 of being at Cesar's boot camp, right? So one of the most common things I hear is as a trainer myself is, well, I tried his methods. I've watched a lot of Cesar's shows and I try them at home and they don't work. It's not that they don't work. In most cases, either the methods weren't followed precisely or they didn't give it enough time. A lot of people, they watch these shows and they see a 45-minute show and they say, well, why, it works in 45 minutes for him. Why doesn't it work like that at home? Well, this is 9 days in and the dog's much better, but he's not perfect yet because it takes consistency and repetition and doing it over and over. You'll start noticing positive changes right away if you're doing it right, but you won't see perfection right away. And unfortunately, as humans, we tend to seek that perfection before we notice progress.
See, he's moving around the pack. He's not tense around the pack. See, he's in it.
He's definitely a lot more fluid around the pack now. When he first came in, he was very rigid, very, on guard. I'm just going to stand here. I'm going to claim this one space and I'm going to lash out at everything. He's still very anxious. I want you to notice that. Like, he's still pacing. He's still running. He's still very, very guarded, but he's more fluid. He's actually moving now. He's a little bit more comfortable around all the other dogs, so he's able to move around. Still not perfect, but, and I need to point that out. He's not fixed. This takes time.
Come on, Chip. Come on. There you go. Come on. There we go. There we go. Now I can give a fetch.
See, and you notice that time, Cesar called him up. See, it's okay to allow our dogs to jump up on us, but they have to be invited up. We have to invite them. They should never be allowed to just push us around or jump on us without being invited, because that's disrespect. That's them saying, I don't care that you have a personal bubble. It's totally fine for us to invite them into our personal bubble and allow them to do it, but it has to be an invitation. It's not something they get to decide. Right, so now we're at 15 days, right? It just goes to show that this takes a lot of time. Please, if you're at home and you're watching these videos and you're struggling with your own dog, give yourself time to learn. Give your dog time to learn. Don't assume that you're going to get perfection on day one, because that's going to set you and your dog up to fail.
Hey, buddy.
I got it. No.
Oh, I can't. Sorry.
So right away, the owner made the mistake of, he's already excited. He's already back at a level 5. And then she comes in and says, hi, buddy. All that's going to do is reinforce his level 5 mindset. The best thing she could have done is just barged right in there and went, down. Pretend like you weren't even gone. When I have clients that drop their dogs off for whether it's training or for grooming, I always say when you go to leave, pretend like you're at home, you're going from one room to the other. You're just going to go from the living room to the kitchen for a coffee. You don't make a big deal about it. You don't get excited. You just turn around and walk out. That's what I want you to do here. And that's what she should have done in this situation. If she had just barged right in there, disagreed with the excitement, went, hey, knock it off, back up, and disagreed with that excitement, it would have taught the dog that, hey, this excitement doesn't get me anywhere. I'm not being rewarded for this. She's human. We all make mistakes. She made a mistake, and it's totally okay. Dogs can still learn even when we make mistakes.
No touch, no talk, no eye contact is going to give
So you see how he's just jumping and jumping and jumping and trying to nip at her and get her to, he's reverted right back to how he was at home. This would be a really good time for her to put those hands on her hips and to just barge right into him. Like, hey, knock it off, and just start walking, just like Cesar did back on the deck in the beginning of the video. Just walk right into him and just continue to apply pressure until he eventually calms himself down.
What it says for Chip is a leader who loves him very much. Not a
See, I like that, because the bottom line is we show our dogs we love them by being their leader. That is, if you want to know how to give your dog the most love, be a leader. Show them where they belong in the world, where their place is, what the rules are. Because dogs crave stability. They crave knowing what's expected of them. And unfortunately, as humans, we tend to mistake boundaries as punishment, or we think that our dogs aren't going to love us if we set a rule for them. But it's the exact opposite. The more rules we have for our dogs, the more boundaries we set for our dogs, the more our dogs can go, oh, okay, I can just focus on being a pet. I can just love my human. I don't have to control everything.
Now the whole family is here. Hey. Right, so
again, I like that she's got her hands on her hips, but she's still just standing there and agreeing with this jumping behavior. She needs to, I keep hammering it in, but she needs to do like Cesar did in the beginning of the video there. Just every time he goes to jump on her, she needs to almost stomp her feet and walk towards him, right? Make him give her space. So because she's not disagreeing with it, because she's just standing there allowing it, she's encouraging it.
So that's good. That's right.
That was way better, right? Even if it was very gentle, like it was a pretty soft. Right away, he went, okay, can't get excitement from her. And then he went over to him to see if he could get excitement from him, right? As soon as he learns that he can't get excitement from anyone, that behavior will start to diminish because it no longer gets a reaction.
Wants to do it for you guys, see it? If you guys don't do it, they're going to do it.
Oh, is that something?
She's ready to go after
Oh, really?
Yeah, look. I want...
See, this is one of my favorite parts of the whole video, because we don't get to see this a lot. It happens all the time, and if you know what to look for, you can see it happen. Dogs crave, I keep saying it, dogs crave balance. They need balance, and they cannot handle when another dog is out of balance. It drives them insane. This dog is super sensitive to it, and so he's already zoning in on this little dog. And you can just see he's watching. He's like, oh, why is this dog like this? I need to get in there and settle him down.
I want you guys to experience how dogs do it. They don't agree with instability.
Up.
Hey.
Get it.
See, and now this guy's coming in doing the same thing, right? It's hard because they don't really zero in on a lot of them, but they don't agree with it. And they'll use their nose. Sometimes they'll shove them. Sometimes they'll use their paw. In extreme cases, they will do an alpha roll themselves and lay them down. Unfortunately, some cases they'll actually attack. And that's why it's so important that we don't allow our dogs to live in this state, because these are the dogs that get attacked at dog parks, that pick fights or just get targeted out on walks or anytime there's other dogs around. It's absolutely important that we keep our dogs at that 2.5. As soon as they start getting into this excited state, that's when they become targets themselves.
Oh, submissive.
So not just submissive, he's rolling over in front of other dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I agree. What he said, that's perfect, right? He did. He showed that's the ultimate sign of respect by showing his belly like that, rolling over in front of all those other dogs. But notice he's got himself planted in front of his human there, and he's going back into a guarding. Now he's kind of scanning around, and he's going to try to keep all of these other dogs from getting into her space.
Leader.
You're doing so good, Chip.
That's really good.
She did that. You're doing so good, Chip. I can't stress enough how important it is that less is more rule. Works like magic with dogs. Less talk, more action. You can tell your dog that you agree with their behavior way better by just doing more of whatever it is you want them to do. As soon as you start talking to the dog, you start creating excitement. As that excitement raises, it becomes harder for the dog to settle. So by just continuing to walk and leading the dog, she could have accomplished what she wanted to do, which was telling the dog that she liked what was happening. If you want to show your dog you love them, show them. Don't tell them.
It's already pulling.
So you notice here, she's still keeping tension on the leash, right? This would be a great time, and I'm getting ahead of myself. This would be a great time for her to not open the gate, but to turn and face her dog and make her dog back up and sit. This tension here, so tension from her arm all the way down to the leash, and then traveling from the leash all the way down to the dog. That's a lot of tension, a lot of excitement. So by just turning her whole body facing the dog and then walking towards the dog, that's going to cause the dog to back up and eventually sit. And that's what we want. That door doesn't get open until this dog relaxes. So she did her best to keep him back here. But again, look, he just darted right in front of her, right? Just shot through the gate.
Bring it back. That's right. Stay right there a little long. That's what I'm talking about.
See, and again, this is, for me, I look at it and say, no, she should have kept, at it. She should have followed through there. But that's just the human part of me trying to be perfect right away. This takes time. This is a practice that she's going to have to do at home, right? To build up that skill. It's just so natural for us to want to rush through a gate or to rush through a door. But when it comes to our dogs, we need to slow it down. We need to let our dogs know that it's okay to breathe between the door being open and us going through. We don't need to jump through that or rush through the door just because it's open. An open door doesn't mean you get to go through. The more she does this, the easier it's going to become, because she has to. Remember, this dog's been in boot camp for 2 weeks now. She now needs to, so he's built up some muscle memory. He's learned some new skills. Now the owners have to learn those skills. So now she's going to go home with this knowledge and have to practice this. And the two of them hopefully will just get better and better. Again, I just want to stress that this is not an overnight fix. These things take time. So if you're at home and you're struggling, give you and your dog a break. Allow for some mistakes. Allow for the process to happen over time. Don't expect perfection. Just celebrate the small successes and just watch, because those small successes snowball. And that's when the real magic happens. So I'm going to end the episode there. I think this has been a really fun one. I've enjoyed it. I hope you did too. I hope you learned a little bit from my analysis here. And thank you so much for all of you that have been subscribing and commenting. You have no idea. It means the world to me. And until next time, keep walking those dogs, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.